Hello, Scorpio besties. Welcome to your 2024 overview horoscope. In this video, I'll be going over a bunch of the big transits happening in 2024. I'll be explaining what to expect and offering some do's and don'ts for parts of the year. 2024 main events include Pluto entering Aquarius, retrograding back into Capricorn, and then re-entering Aquarius for the final time at the end of the year. Also, Jupiter will conjoin Uranus in Taurus right before Jupiter changes signs and enters Gemini for the next 12 months, bringing some luck and expansion to new house topics. Very exciting. But it will square Saturn in Pisces, so we'll talk about that. And we will discuss eclipse season, both spring and fall as well. As a reminder, I recommend listening to your rising sign, but sometimes people do find value in listening to their sun or moon signs. Astrology is a form of divination after all. We're getting our messages how we get them. So let's jump right into January. January 20th, 2024, Pluto will enter Aquarius, and this is the second time Pluto has entered Aquarius. It already entered and gave us a little teaser in March of 2023. So Pluto will be entering your fourth house for the second time, and you'll be gearing up for some profound shifts in your home and your family life. So to get a little hint of what to expect, you can look back at March, the end of March 2023, to get an idea of what vibes could be coming up. But overall, it's not just a fleeting change. It's more like a deep-seated, slow, background transformation. But let's talk about specifics. Think major changes in your living situation. It could be a move, it could be a renovation, or changes with who you live with. Your relationship with family members are set to get a bit deeper. You might resolve old issues or see relationships in a new light. Changes with your parents or your parent's life could be possible. Understanding your roots in general. It's a time to connect more with your heritage, your ancestry. Maybe you explore family history or your traditions more deeply with Pluto here. But yeah, changes with your parents or their lives is possible. Significant developments ranging from major life decisions to making changes with their health or their living situations. I need to mention this because Pluto rules plumbing sometimes, and we can maybe look out for plumbing issues at home. Be prepared for potential plumbing problems or other home maintenance issues that might come up. And always with this shit, it symbolizes a deeper need to address underlying issues in your domestic life, which is really annoying. But what's happening to our house is reflective of what's happening in our life. Unearthing family secrets is possible. Hidden truths, long-kept family secrets could come to the surface and maybe need open discussion and healing. And this period with Pluto in your fourth house might highlight control dynamics within your family, which will challenge you to confront and address these issues for healthier relationships or cut people off that you need to cut off. But Pluto rules, controlling dynamics, power dynamics, manipulation, that sort of thing. So that sort of energy might come up in your family life more often or in your home life. So my recommended do's and don'ts. I recommend you do transform your living space January 20th or with just Pluto in Aquarius. If your home feels out of sync with who you are, now's a good time, or it will be a good time to consider significant changes, even more than just redecorating. But it could just be, getting a new couch. It could be busting a wall down to make an open floor plan. A complete remodel, or just relocating, even moving, selling your house, buying a house. Diving deep into family history is also supported with this. Exploring your family roots, connecting, researching your genealogy, or just communicating more with older family members, calling your aunt, talking to your grandparents, etc. I recommend you don't, at the end of January, neglect any home repairs or safety upgrades. If there are any pending repairs in January or safety concerns in your home, it will be time to address them. Ignoring them will lead to bigger issues down the line when Pluto re-enters the fourth house at the end of the year. I also recommend you don't hold on to anything. Declutter, let go of things, donate, etc. It's good I don't know, is it spring cleaning? It's a little early for spring cleaning, but never too early to start throwing shit away. And it's important to remember that Pluto is all about the long game. So these changes are going to shape your home and your personal life in a lasting way and be more of a background vibe with some benchmark moments. It's all about demoing and then rebuilding a foundation that truly resonates with who you are. And this brings us to spring eclipse season. And eclipse season in the spring will bring major changes to your 6th and your 12th houses. Thank the Lord, it has moved. The eclipses have moved from our 1st and 7th, and now it's in 6th and 12th. Still not the best, but better than being angular. And the first time one of these eclipses happened was in fall of 2023. So you can look back to the beginning of October, end of September to get an idea of what to expect for spring eclipse season. But let's break down some specifics. Starting with March 25th, that is when there is a lunar eclipse in Libra in your 12th house, which is a house of your inner world and your subconscious and behind the scenes, can't see behind the curtain type vibes. So you might find yourself with this eclipse dealing with past emotions or stuff that you've been avoiding. The 12th house, having a light shine on it, is shining a light on all the cobwebs in our closet. You can also expect some, new, deep realizations that could change how you see yourself and how you see the world. And traveling is also a possibility with an eclipse in your 12th house. The 12th house isn't the funnest house. You don't really see what's going on usually, so it could be something new gets revealed to you. That's what the realizations are about. You could feel really emotional all of a sudden because it's about repressed emotions coming out. So, I'll tell you more in the do's and don'ts. But let's talk about the next eclipse. So the first eclipse, March 25th in Libra, and the next one, April 8th in Aries, in your 6th house of daily routines and health. And the 2 weeks in between these eclipses is called eclipse season. And that's when sometimes the things actually happen. The eclipse events don't generally happen the day of, unless you're really lucky, but usually happens in between eclipses or the week before or the week after. So allow for wonkiness for those 2 weeks, and you can expect maybe your job or your work routine being shaken up, a change in your role, or a new way of doing things is possible. Things will be kind of up in the air at this point. And it is a time where you might be looking at your health habits more. Maybe your stomach's hurting more than usual or your back's hurting more than usual, and it's forcing you to look at a new way or approach with a new way of your routine. And you can expect pet stuff also with this eclipse, either getting a new pet, a change in your pet's routine, that sort of thing. At the same time as spring eclipse season, Mars will be conjoining Saturn in your 5th house. So not only is eclipse season wonky as hell, with things feeling up in the air, with it being new beginnings and new endings. It's the beginning of one era and the ending of another era happening at the same time. So we have wonkiness, we have uncertainty for those 2 to 4 weeks. And again, at the same time, Mars is conjoining Saturn in your 5th house. And anytime the malefics conjoin, they slow us down, they tell us no, they bring in pessimism. This one's in Pisces, so it's a bit of a wet blanket or like a stick in the mud type of vibe. So not a very fun time either. And if you have children, expect some sort of challenges in their life, maybe with school, maybe they're not getting along with their teacher, that kind of thing. But some sort of challenges with 5th house topics. So your creativity might feel dim. Joy and pleasure might not be as easily accessible. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts for eclipse season with the conditions at stake. I recommend you do embrace new work habits and stay flexible. Do stay flexible during eclipse season. Don't stick to your to-do list, your plans. Your plans are going to go awry. So stay flexible. I also recommend you set aside a few minutes a day for journaling during eclipse season. Every morning, wake up and write a page. Just get it out of the way. It will help you in the long run. Or meditate, or just quiet thinking. Some sort of self-reflection during eclipse season will really help you move forward. And get a new pet. Spoil your pet. Spend time with your pet also with this eclipse. I recommend you don't ignore any checkups or schedule appointments you have. If you have a dentist appointment, doctor appointment, vet appointment, don't neglect them. Go to them. I recommend also that you do not bottle up your emotions. Maybe the appointment you need to go to is a therapy appointment, and you should not cancel that appointment in eclipse season. But eclipse season is rough, but it's all about cleaning house, both in your everyday life and with your deeper, more emotional parts of yourself. It's a really good time for new beginnings and letting go of what no longer serves you and, growing pains. And just as eclipse season ends, Jupiter conjoins Uranus at 21 degrees Taurus. This exacts on April 20th. This will be happening in your 7th house and is a very exciting time for unexpected developments within your relationship dynamics. So specifically speaking, surprises are in store for your relationships. You could suddenly meet someone new or experience some sort of refreshing change in your partnership. So unexpected twists in relationships. Also, be ready for new people entering your life who could make a significant impact, whether they're friends, business partners, romantic interests, just somebody you spend one-on-one time with. New connections are possible. Also, you and your partner might come up with some groundbreaking ideas together if you have a business partner or a romantic partner even, but revolutionary ideas with partnerships or within partnerships is possible. So it's a very exciting time. Let's talk about the do's. I recommend you stay open to new people at this point. Embrace any chance you have to meet and connect with different kinds of people at the end of April or in April altogether. I recommend you try out new relational dynamics in relationships in general, whether it's trying new activities together, like going to dance class together, or changing how you communicate because you went to counseling together and you learned about active listening, things like that. I recommend you do that. And I recommend you don't dismiss any weird or unusual opportunities that come up in April. It's presenting itself for a reason with Jupiter and Uranus being here. So don't be quick to dismiss unusual opportunities in April. And also don't rush into any commitments. So while new relationships can be really exciting and really significant, take your time before making any big commitments or decisions with this aspect. Uranus is not very stable. But yeah, overall, the conjunction here in your 7th house is all about embracing the new and the unexpected within relationship dynamics. It's a really good time to explore new relationships and be open to new connections and see where they take you. And this brings us to Jupiter entering Gemini May 25th, and it will immediately trine Pluto when it enters Gemini. So Jupiter will be entering your 8th house, and it will trine Pluto in your 4th house. You're going to be in for some big changes with Jupiter in your 8th house for the next 12 months. Good ones, too. We like Jupiter in the 8th house. It brings chances to improve your financial situation, maybe through investments, inheritances, some sort of shared resource, some sort of support from someone else, possibly. It's also a really powerful time for emotional and psychological healing. You might find a really, really good therapist, or your self-reflection will be particularly rewarding while Jupiter's here. And with Pluto trining from your 4th house, you can expect some of these lasting changes at home, these lasting changes that you feel psychologically or financially to reflect at home or within your family dynamics. So we like Jupiter. We like Jupiter doing anything. And it will be here in your 8th house assisting for the next 12 months after this. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts. I do recommend you look into ways to grow your money while Jupiter's in your 8th house, like investments, saving plans. If you have debts, it might be a good time to strategize paying them off. It might be a good time to look for new interest rates for your savings accounts, that sort of thing. I recommend you do consider therapy or deep self-reflection work to help you work through any personal baggage and trauma. With Jupiter in your 8th house, you have support in that being a lot easier and a lot less heavy than it has to be. So it's a good opportunity to work on things. It's also a good time to start business partnerships or any type of shared resource situation. I recommend you don't ignore any financial red flags coming up, which might be easy for some of us to ignore, but stay alert on any issues in your financial world. This is not a time to ignore debts or financial obligations because you have the support of Pluto, or you have the support of Pluto and Jupiter. And I recommend, if you have any shifts that are needed in your home life or with your house, with your family dynamics, be open to making those changes. Don't resist any changes at home or with your family dynamics. With Jupiter in your 8th house, it's going to be all about growth in your finances and helping you transform and shed old layers a lot easier. And the trine to Pluto indicates that these changes are going to be deeply interconnected with your home life or with your family life. So this will be a good time to embrace any opportunities for financial improvements or any opportunities for emotional healing that come your way over the next 12 months. And then we have a fairly quiet 2 months until we start feeling Mars getting closer to squaring Saturn. Mars will be in your 8th house and it will square Saturn in your 5th house, and you'll be up for more of a challenging but also potentially rewarding vibe for August. You might find in August that financial concerns are impacting what you want to do for fun. For example, budget constraints affecting a personal project, one that you're passionate about is possible. Financial tension with creative projects. Also, you're going to be needing to balance fun and responsibility more carefully in the summertime. It's like Jupiter enters your 8th house, and we have all this growth and expansion happening in new areas. And Mars squares Saturn, which is essentially pumping the brakes and dishing out some growing pains. You can't just grow exponentially without anything pushing back. And that's the Mars-Saturn square, making sure that whatever growth and expansion we're doing is sustainable and is realistic. So you'll need to balance fun and responsibility more careful in August. You might need to skip out on nights out. You might need to skip out on nights out to manage your budget or to work on, paying off debts. And your social life in August or your dating life might feel a bit restricted, maybe due to financial limitations, maybe due to emotional baggage, or just feeling a greater sense of responsibility, or just kind of an Eeyore type vibe. So the do's and don'ts for August with this square, I recommend you do plan any entertainment or the fun stuff you're doing, the spending for it, plan that carefully. Enjoy yourself without the financial stress. Focus on tackling any debts and financial obligations first. It'll make your leisure and your fun and your creativity a lot more enjoyable without the weight of financial worries. This transit is kind of like having a baby and being afraid that you can't afford it type of vibes. I recommend you don't ignore your financial situation, especially when it comes to funding your hobbies. And at the same time, don't neglect your creative side. Even if finances are tight, you can find low-cost ways or free ways to keep your creativity or your fun alive. So August is going to be a period where you're juggling cash and fun. It is pumping the brakes on all the fun and expansion of the summertime. Think of it as learning to have your cake and eat it too in a very savvy way. This is what this transit is trying to teach you to do. So you can be practical and keep the fun alive. You know how to do that as a Scorpio. So honestly, with this being one of the more challenging aspects of the year, which happens every year pretty much, it's not too bad, okay? It's not too bad. But I did need to warn you that summertime might have some summertime sadness. And actually, there's the other aspect of this too. Mars is very close to conjoining Jupiter, and Jupiter is also squaring Saturn. And this is the first time Jupiter will square Saturn. It will square it again in December, and it exacts August 19th, the first time around. Jupiter either helps Mars or makes Mars more intense. And Jupiter is a protector. It's kind of like guardian angel vibes, but it also makes things bigger and expands things. So things might get a little bit bigger, but also you will have the energy to handle it, or you will have something with an invisible hand helping you. This isn't a really good time to do anything creative. Any creative project with somebody else might slow down. There might be challenges there. You might have issues with finances, might have issues with support. So just keep an eye open for any projects you're working with someone else on. And this brings us to September 1st, when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn. And this is its final stint in your third house. And Pluto has been working its transformative magic here in the background since 2008. And Pluto will only be here for 2 months before moving back into Aquarius. So while the entrance of Pluto going into Capricorn might have something intense come up either mentally or with somebody in your immediate environment, like your cousin, your sibling, your aunt, your uncle, something intense could happen with them, or something could be happening in your neighborhood. There could be construction happening, changes with your neighbors, that kind of thing. But these won't be that intense because, again, you've felt this entrance multiple times and it'll only be here for 2 months. So it's really more about dust settling, the final benchmark moment that has the dust settling. Maybe big projects are coming together. If you've been grinding away at a book, a blog, a course, any other big brain project, it could be showtime by the time Pluto re-enters here. The past years of hard work could really start to pay off when Pluto re-enters here. Changes with cars, changes with siblings, final benchmark moments in your immediate environment are what the last 2 months of Pluto here are going to be for. So I do recommend you throw a little party for your achievements. If you got a degree or you finished a book you wrote, whatever you've been working on, your big brain project, your Discord server's all done, celebrate it. It is a really big deal. I also recommend you have any conversations you need to have with siblings, neighbors, relatives, things. If things have changed for the better, acknowledge it. Maybe a casual hangout or a heartfelt chat is in order to really cement in these Pluto in your third house vibes. The don'ts. I recommend you don't slide back into any old habits of talking or texting. How you've been communicating has completely transformed. Obviously, it's been over 10 years, so we're a decade older. Of course, we'll have transformations there, but we're solidifying perspectives. So it won't be that big of a transit because it's not for very long and you felt it multiple times before, but I still needed to bring it up in case you noticed any benchmark moments within transformations in your third house topics of your neighborhood, your commute, your extended family, your perspectives, your brain, the classes you've been taking, that sort of thing. And this moves us to fall eclipse season, which will bring major endings, major beginnings, the ending of one era, the beginning of another era into your 5th and 12th house topics. So it'll be about wrapping up some chapters and teasing the beginnings of new ones, especially with Saturn hanging out in your 5th house also, because September 17th, we have the lunar eclipse in Pisces in your 5th house. It will be conjoined Saturn, and this is the first eclipse in this series, in this axis. So this eclipse will bring a taste of the endings and beginnings with these 5th house topics. So if you've been working on a creative project, creative stuff, expect some big final touches or some sort of full-on finish with this eclipse. It's like the season premiere of your personal creative show, your own British Bake Off. Your idea of fun might get a serious makeover with this eclipse, maybe swapping club nights for cooking classes or more into nature hikes. Maybe you're starting a new game. Maybe you're deciding to have a baby. Changes with creative projects and with things you do for fun and your dating life, your romantic life. Changes with your sexuality is possible as well. And then we have an awkward 2 wonky weeks of eclipse season. October 2nd, there's the solar eclipse at 10 degrees Libra in your 12th house. And this will be one of the final eclipses in this axis. So it's more about wrapping things up, like a final benchmark. This is the season finale type of energy. But yeah, it's a really good eclipse for soul searching. meditating, journaling, long walks that clear your head, traveling, therapy. It's a 12th house eclipse, so again, it'll be hard to see and maybe things just kind of come out that you've been holding in. Be aware of that, and you'll be able to connect more dots about yourself and your past for this eclipse, connecting, being Nancy Drew of your own mystery of your life, connecting dots, uncovering hidden gems about yourself. So fall eclipse season do's and don'ts. I recommend you do plan a creative showcase for fall, whether it's later in this year or whether it's later in 2024 or early in 2025. You can start to plan an event or a platform where you showcase your creative projects like art exhibitions, online portfolios, a YouTube channel, anything like that. I also recommend for eclipse season you schedule a regular retreat or just any retreat, but set aside specific weekends or days in your calendar during fall eclipse season and spring eclipse season for self-reflection and solitude. It's a really good moment for a quiet day at home, meditation retreat, or just unplugged time in nature in general. I recommend you don't overbook your social calendar during eclipse season in the fall. Leave breathing room in your schedule for spontaneous moments of creativity or for introspection and the need to be alone. I also recommend you don't ignore your mental health. In the hustle of the year, you got to prioritize it, whether you are going to therapy regularly, whether you are doing mindfulness practices, or simply ensuring enough downtime, enough food, enough sleep. Make your routine prioritize your mental health. Eclipse season in these houses is a big spotlight on your creativity and your inner world, showing you what's working and what's ready to evolve at this point. It will be a blend of finishing up and also gearing up for a next era, and setting the stage for some really cool new chapters in the following year. So this brings us to November 19th when Pluto re-enters Aquarius for the final time. And so Pluto will be settling back into your fourth house for the final time until 2043. And to get an idea of what to expect at this point, we will look back at March 2023 and January 2024. This isn't just about minor tweaks. Pluto will be moving into your fourth house, an angular house, for the next 19 years. And this will bring foundational shifts that redefine your domestic world, essentially. So whether it's a big move that you're considering, a major renovation, or a change in living dynamics is possible. Those types of plans will be coming to fruition more clearly in November. Any ongoing shifts in family dynamics will reach some sort of final form, maybe an understanding, a reconciliation, or acceptance. So a settling down of roots is possible too. You might find it easier to connect to your roots with Pluto here, whether that's embracing family traditions, understanding your heritage. You can also expect family secrets to come out with Pluto here. Big family transformations, big home transformations. But I don't want you to be afraid of it because you've felt this twice before at this point. So it's more about another benchmark moment with that storyline. And if you pay attention to what happened in March of 2023 and January of 2024, you'll be able to construct a narrative about this. So the do's and don'ts for November. I recommend you do finalize home projects. If you have a renovation you're going to do it, redecorate. It's a time to wrap it up or kick it off. I also recommend you document family stories when Pluto re-enters the fourth house. If you have elders with stories to tell, start recording them. It's a great way to preserve family history and help you connect to your roots. And the don'ts for November. Do not put off any home maintenance. If your place needs TLC, like fixing a leaky faucet or something, get on it in November. Fix these things before they get worse. Pluto will do that. Pluto will just sit there and let it fester until it stinks way too bad and now it's a health hazard. I also recommend you don't hang on to any clutter. This is a time to, you know those boxes you haven't opened in years? It's time to sort through them when Pluto enters your 4th house. Clearing physical space can also clear mental space. So overall, with Pluto, entering for good your 4th house, it will be about cementing changes in your home life. It's the beginning of an era of transformation in your family life with your home, and it sets the stage for stability and new beginnings that truly reflect who you are going to be. It's not that scary, right? We just need to go talk to a Libra rising and ask how Pluto in their 4th house went. And you'll feel better because they won't know what to say because it's been there since 2008. And let's move on to December 6th. This is when Mars stations retrograde at 6 degrees Leo. And Mars stations retrograde in your 10th house and will be hitting the slow motion button on your career life, your public life, and it will give you a chance to really rethink and reassess where you're headed. And something to keep in mind about this retrograde is that Mars will be stationing retrograde within similar area to where Venus stationed retrograde in the summer of 2023. So if you pay attention to what happened for that Venus retrograde, there may be similar strings for this Mars retrograde. But you might find yourself questioning your current job, your career path. It's a pause and think moment about where you're going professionally, and it offers a time to end something and say goodbye. Old bosses, old colleagues might pop up into your life, and maybe they bring new opportunities, or maybe they bring unresolved issues. But yeah, revisiting past professional relationships is possible. And if you've been wanting to change how people see you professionally at this point, it will be a good time to strategize about your personal brand and completely change your Instagram handle, for example, or your website, for example. So this brings me into the do's. Do use this retrograde to think about what you really want from your job. Also, actually, let me take a pause. Mars stationing retrograde is an extra big deal for y'all because you are Mars ruled. As a Scorpio rising, Mars is your ruling planet. And when our ruling planets stop and change direction, so do we. They kind of represent us in the sky. So expect some sort of switch up for y'all. And also around the beginning of December, you might be kind of burnt out, tired, maybe you get sick. It's a time that you are forced to slow down and look within. So just keep that in mind. I do recommend you update your resume, update your LinkedIn. If you're job hunting, you will have good luck finding a new job. But yeah, keep your professional profile fresh for this retrograde. And I recommend you let go of something. The 10th house, not only does it rule your career, but it rules your overarching life goals and direction. So letting go of a job, letting go of a person, letting go of an idea, letting go of something, a car, is possible and supported. I recommend you don't ignore any old connections that come up in December. If someone from your professional past reaches out, don't brush them off. That's some university shit. It could lead to something interesting. And while Mars is retrograde, I recommend you don't make any long-term commitments, only because it's in your 10th house, which is pretty serious. And then it retrogrades back into Cancer, which is not good dignity for us Scorpios. So this is a good time to think about things, end things, but maybe don't make any new commitments. It's a chance to slow down, make sure you're heading in the direction you really want. It's a strategic timeout in the game of your career. And it helps you plan your next career moves very carefully. And this brings us to the second Jupiter-Saturn square without Mars's involvement, December 24th. Jupiter in your 8th house is squaring Saturn in your 5th house. And again, this happened in August, so you can look back to August. I guess that's not helpful at this point, but just know things in August will be repeated in December. But it'll be a little bit easier because Mars won't be involved. So issues with money and projects might come up. Issues with your kid's life and your baby daddy might come up. Issues with being able to pay for private school for your kid. Issues for being able to afford resources that help you create things you want to create could be possible. It's kind of just like a Debbie Downer vibe. It might feel harder to buy holiday presents for people this December. It's a balancing act between having fun and spending money and buying the right things. It'll be a really good time to heal your inner child, whether that's through therapy or whether that's through art or creativity or doing things you used to do when you were a kid could be really healing at this time. So yeah, financial challenges, romantic limitations, creative limitations. This is a good time to go to sex therapy. This is a good time to consider healing romantic traumas. It's a good time to deal with balancing your personal and shared resources. And you might feel like expressing yourself is a bit harder at this point as well. So December will be a good time for financial planning, budgeting, revising, paying attention to your budget, maybe prepping tax season before tax season. It's a really good time to reassess your creative or your leisurely activities. Are they bringing you satisfaction? Is this what you want to do? Are you having fun with this? Or do they just need to be restructured in some way? It's a good time to be focused on disciplined and structured creative approaches to things. And it also will strengthen personal relationships. The 5th house of romance and pleasure and the 8th house of intimacy and shared resources can definitely impact your relationships. And you can use this time to have open conversations with partners or close friends about expectations, finances, shared responsibilities. It's a chance to build stronger, more honest relationships by addressing any imbalances and issues head on. And again, it'll be a lot easier the second time because it'll be without Mars, and anytime you go through a transit, it's easier the second time. So do's and don'ts. I recommend you do allocate specific days for creative projects in December. Mark days on your calendar exclusively for your projects. Like every Wednesday evening, you paint or write, something like that. I also recommend you schedule regular date nights. Set a recurring date night or quality time moment with your partner to ensure that your relationship is getting due attention. And I recommend you don't overcommit socially at the cost of your personal time in December. Be cautious about filling up that social calendar so much that it eats up your time, needed for your hobbies, your creative pursuits, your dating. You don't need to go to every holiday party. So overall, the second pass of Jupiter squaring Saturn will be a chance to refine the adjustments you started making in August. It'll be more about ensuring that all your relationships and your personal passions are getting the attention they deserve. And think of it as a continuation of finding just sweet balance in your life. It's a pretty easy square to deal with at the end of the year, but it's just unfortunate it's in the 8th and 5th houses, which can just put a damper on things. Wet blanket, stick in the mud energy. So that's what we have today, y'all. How do you feel about this upcoming year? Drop a comment and let me know which transit you're looking forward to and which one you are side-eyeing. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the community going. If you enjoyed this video and you want to delve deeper into astrology with me, remember Pyxis Fellowship offers weekly and monthly personalized horoscopes. I'm available for one-on-one consultations, for readings, or for mentorships. And of course, you're welcome to join us in the free 9th House Discord server to keep the astro conversation flowing. Thanks so much, friends. Good luck. I'll catch you on the other side.